Hours after leaving home in the middle of the night, Atzbaha's day is beginning well. Not many people have beaten her to the river, and the water is relatively clear. With the help of her son, she loads the water onto her donkey. The containers weigh over 50 pounds, and together they hold about 10.5 gallons. At most, it will last to a family of 7 2 or 3 days. In the United States, personal water usage averages 75 gallons a day per person. Atzbaha is 35, and she's been making this 12-mile round trip since she was a little girl. The task of gathering water consumes her life.
I go early to fetch water, and sometimes I spend a lot of my time there, and when I came back to my home, the time for my children goes, and I simply send them to their school. Even for my husband. You see, I don't have any time to prepare food and to send them.
Water also impacts Atzbaha's life in other ways. Somebody from her family needs treatment for a water-related disease at least once a month. She knows she should boil the water before anybody drinks it, but it's not practical. Firewood is scarce, and collecting it would only add hours of more work to her day. It's time and energy she doesn't have.
Of course, I feel tired because I walk for a long distance.
The way Atzbaha is raising her baby daughter is a good indication of just how demanding her life is. She does everything with Gannett strapped to her back. It's the only way she can keep her safe and still do everything she needs to do. Gannett is 2 years old. She can barely crawl and has never eaten solid food. Her mother will carry her until she is able to walk. Atzbaha knows her life is hard, but by local standards, she and her family are doing well. Everyone eats regularly and is relatively healthy. The older children are all in school. They have oxen, donkeys, chickens, and a large piece of land, and they even have a latrine. Everyone sleeps side by side in the same hut, but it has a corrugated iron roof, which is considered a luxury item. Perhaps most importantly, Atzbaha has an able-bodied husband who helps provide for them all. In this harsh region of northern Ethiopia, about 1/3 of all households are headed by single mothers. Just a few hundred yards away lives Temnet. Her husband died from AIDS a few years ago, leaving her with 8 children to support. She has a small farm but is unable to work it by herself. Once a week, she makes a 15-hour round trip on foot over the mountains to get grain to sell at the local market. She has a few chickens, but only so she can sell the eggs. Temnet and her children are always hungry, and her sadness is palpable. Once a year for Christmas, they celebrate by mixing 3 eggs into their meager daily serving of bread. 3 eggs, between 9 of them, once a year. Though separated by their circumstances, Atzbaha and Temnet do have one big thing in common. They are literally working themselves to death. This is Atzbaha's mother, contorted and in pain after a lifetime of hard physical labor.
I feel sick all over my body, in my back, in my spinal and in my knee. I don't use anything because I'm old. The only thing I do is praying. I just pray to my Lord to take me. The only thing better for me is death.
She passed away soon after this footage was filmed, without ever having been seen by a doctor. Considered very old by her family, she had outlived her husband, all of her friends, and one of her children. She was in her early 60s. Atzbaha and Temnet also share a common dream. They hope and pray that their children will not have to endure the hardships they have.
I want to teach my children and to finish their education and to have their own job, and I want them to live in the urban area, and I want to stay here, and I want to see a good and bright future for my children.
Through all the walking and the back-breaking work, these two women's first thoughts are always of their children. Despite their circumstances, it's something they have in common with mothers everywhere.